Welcome to ETG's The State of Play, where we give you the lowdown on travel news to Asia and beyond, the show where we ask what on earth is going on. Today is a special extended edition where we look at Thailand's Sandbox scheme, the innovative trial reopening for tourists that's been going on this summer in Phuket. I'm Sam, the co-founder and MD of ETG, and I'm here with my co-founder Melissa, as usual. And today we'll be joined live from Thailand by my friend, and more relevantly, the GM of Paresa Resort in Phuket, which is a luxury 5-star resort in Phuket. But first, Melissa, how's things? I hear you're just back from Croatia.
Yes, good, thanks. It was fantastic to get away, and especially to a destination I'd never been to before. Totally worth the hassle of the tests. Like everyone else, I was a bit anxious about it in the lead up, but I think once you get past check-in, you just totally forget about it all. I had a lovely holiday, and I travelled with extended family group of 10 people, and I think between us we used about 6 different brands of testing, so I now feel like I'm a bit of an expert on the pros and cons of all the COVID tests as much as anything else. But yeah, it was fantastic to get away in a great country as well. Yeah,
that was very much my experience with Greece, and we can share all that information with anyone who wants it on the testing, because once you get your head around it, it is relatively straightforward, as you say. So I hope you've got for us some latest news if we go to the check-in.
Yeah, I feel a bit out of the loop, having been away for 2 weeks. But yeah, I think generally we're at an interesting point now. Summer holiday season's more or less over, and I think there's going to be a shift in people thinking further ahead and further afield, maybe, with regards to holidays, rather than just like, oh my God, where can I go to in Europe in the next week? So rather than get too fixated on the traffic light system, which we know changes all the time, I'm going to try and talk about countries in Asia that are actually open and that offer some sort of great potential for winter or even sort of further ahead holidays. And in that sense, there was some really good news this week. Oman reopened to tourists a day or two ago. The COVID cases there are now very, very low. I had a look this morning, and I think sort of like 50, 60 a day or something like that. So very low. Great destination for autumn, winter and spring. And as we mentioned, more or less every week, the Maldives is always open. Low cases, incredible country, perfect destination for social distancing. And hopefully Grant Shapps will be listening and cotton on to the Maldives and Oman for his next traffic light review, maybe. Then there's Thailand, of course, the perfect winter destination. Phuket Sandbox has been in action for a while now, allowing tourists to visit the island with certain conditions in place. It's been a good way to test out the protocols for a safe reopening of the whole country, and I hope that will pave the way for other destinations in Southeast Asia too. And I'm not going to go on about that too much though, because obviously Anthony's going to talk about Thailand in more detail.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Melissa. Right, well, from the check-in, let's go to the departure lounge where we can introduce Anthony. Anthony, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you.
Okay. Well, before going any further, would you like to introduce yourself, a little bit about your credentials to come on this illustrious show, and also tell us a little bit about the Paresa Resort?
Yeah, I'm Anthony Dupont. I've been in Thailand for about 20 years now. Obviously, I've known you, Sam, for, nearly that long as well. Before I was in the DMC, I was always in the travel industry, and then I eventually moved to Thailand and ended up at the DMC, then sales, then moved out to Phuket, and now I'm general manager at Paresa in Kamala. So it's a beautiful 42 villa property on the Kamala Hills. It's all sort of cliff pool villas overlooking the sea. Privately owned, one single owner, so we're small, unique, very luxurious, very green, very, it's just a great place to work, a great place to be at the moment.
Yeah, I have to say we're all jealous talking to you from our parts of South London. But before we get stuck into the Thailand Sandbox, I've got a quick question for you, Melissa. You mentioned that Thailand has been popped on the red list by the UK government. Can you let people know why we decided to push on with the Sandbox for this episode?
Oh, I don't think I did mention that actually, but yeah, obviously we were disappointed that Thailand is gone on the red list, but unfortunately, because the cases are already coming down, and of course they've made very clear steps towards a safe opening compared to other countries. So we think it's a great bet for the winter, or anyone wanting to plan further ahead. And obviously, the traffic light changes happen all the time. Let's just say I've got my flights on hold, and I'm interested to see what Anthony's got to say.
Yeah, and we've got many watchers from around the world, particularly America, have really started to travel, and the rules are different from everywhere. And as far as trying to double guess the UK's system, it's a fool's game. You can drive a double-decker bus through some of the contradictions. So we'll focus on Asia and what is happening out there. So back to Anthony. Can you tell us first of all briefly what the Phuket Sandbox actually is?
Okay, in essence, it's the trial system to open up Thailand, which they're piloting in Phuket. So the Sandbox allows vaccinated travellers from overseas to come to Phuket and stay in Phuket without a quarantine. So there are conditions. I won't go into those. Those you can find on the website or on Thai visa websites. But a guest can come here and spend up to 14 days here. Now, if they spend 14 days, then they're allowed to move on to other areas of Thailand. If, for example, yourself, Sam, you come out for 10 days, you have to go straight home. And it allows you to book into a hotel in Phuket, and you can choose between 2 and 3 hotels in your 14 days and move around Phuket normally. So basically the island is a quarantine island. And that it's like a trial scheme for the rest of the country. And recently they've just opened up 7+7, so it now means that travellers can come into Phuket for 7 days and then go on to the Samui area, Samui, Koh Tao, Koh Phangan, Krabi for 7 days as well, under the same kind of conditions. There are conditions, as Melissa mentioned earlier. They're a little bit draconian at the moment and a little bit difficult, but you've got to start somewhere, and it's the first steps towards that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's pretty innovative. I think it's a trial for Thailand, but also it's been watched very carefully by countries across Asia and maybe beyond. How successful has it been?
Slow and steady. So interestingly, the success has come actually from Thai and US and then UK. Now the numbers haven't been as big as expected. The main reason for that is just the conditions. The pre-arrival conditions are a little bit tedious, and then when you get here, you have to have 2 or 3 PCR tests. And you have to book into certain hotels, so the conditions are a little bit restricted. So it really dissuades a classic holiday maker at the moment, I would say. But the success has been for people who are overseas and wanting to come back and visit their family, or those that want to spend a long time in Thailand. They do their 2 weeks here, and then they can go off and do other things.
And how successful has it been from a kind of COVID point of view?
Well, the good news is that most sort of the infections that we're seeing in Phuket are not from the Sandbox. They're not from the international guests. So from that side, it's been very, very successful, because, the guests or the travellers have had the test before arrival, and they have a test literally on the day they arrive. So they're 98, 99, 100% are going to be negative. So Thailand and Thailand government is not concerned at the moment about the COVID related side of the international arrivals.
Well, that has to be good news for the future. And what sort of visitors have been coming?
Well, I mentioned earlier, the long-termers. I had my cousin come to stay. He was Danish, so he wanted to spend a long period in Thailand, so he came over from Copenhagen, actually spent 2 weeks here at Paresa. And you're free in the day. Your only requirement is you have to sleep the night in the hotel. So in the day you can do anything you want. You used to come to mine, we did boat trips, etc. So he was there. We've had a lot of overseas Thai as well who are coming back and who might want to go to Bangkok, but it's better to come and do your quarantine in Phuket as opposed to Bangkok. Whereas in Bangkok you'll be forced to stay in a proper ASQ, it's called. It's a sort of state quarantine hotel where you're not allowed to leave. At least here you're free. You're free to do what you want in the days.
Yeah, no one wants those quarantine hotels. And what is actually like in the Paresa at the moment?
Paresa is quite quiet. I mean, we don't have many guests. What would you see as an environment? Well, all our staff are masked. This is a requirement. And one of the good things about the Sandbox scheme is that the authorities had to vaccinate over 70% of the island. So all Phuket as an island, 70% plus vaccinated, and all our staff, 100% are vaccinated. So that is one good thing. And around the hotel, okay, our staff are in masks. Guests are required to wear masks if they're in a public area, like if they come to the restaurant. Obviously, when they sit down and have dinner, they don't have to. But it's quite, it's quiet and fresh, and I think you can see the view here. We've got good weather at the moment, but life goes on, but it's only with 1 or 2 or 3 rooms.
Yeah. Okay. And generally in Phuket, how does it feel right now?
So it's interesting. There are certain areas that are completely quiet and like a ghost town. I mean, Patong, Kata, Karon are very quiet, but the area where I live, near Laguna area, is actually quite busy. You've got a lot of expats that live in that area as well, and a lot of people are taking villas as well. So Laguna area, Kamala and Phuket town are quite busy, Ruai a little bit. But for me personally, I mean, we can drive around. I mean, the island is quiet. You go to the beach, it's empty. You've only got really the locals at the moment.
And can you go out to eat and restaurants and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So again, obviously in the quiet areas, most of a lot of them are shut down. But in my area, most restaurants are open, and you're allowed to go out as normal. Right this month, August, and for the next couple of weeks, there is an alcohol restriction, but that will be dropped in a couple of weeks. So for me, with family, or let's say my cousin who was here as a Sandbox guest, he got on his motorbike, he went down to the restaurant, sat there all day, did what he wanted, swam on the beach, had lunch, had dinner, and came back again. So you hardly notice any difference at all. Apart from arriving in the restaurant, you will notice obviously there's more sanitation, there's more hand washes, and the staff are very careful as well for the COVID with masks and hand washing.
What have you done personally, Anthony, that recently that's been fun that visitors could also do in Phuket?
Actually, it's been quite an eventful couple of weeks because I've had my cousin here, so we've and I've got some other friends that have moved down from Bangkok to come and live in Phuket for a few months instead of just being shut down up there. So we had a wonderful boat trip a couple of weeks ago, because now obviously you can get really good deals. So we hired a catamaran for the day, and you can go out to the islands, etc. So we had a good day out with the family and the kids. Do a lot of mountain biking now. People don't know it, but actually Phuket's quite wild. It's got a lot of mountains, got a lot of lakes, reservoirs, trails, forest trails, mountain trails. So we've been doing a lot of that. And my son, who's 15, who's actually taller than me now, is obviously very competitive. So we have to compete. So we have to find some sports to compete, with each other. So that's one we're doing. And then beach stuff, picnics on the beach, barbecues. I mean, that really hasn't changed for us at all. It's as it was before. It's just the beaches are quiet now.
Brilliant. And what's your prediction for how this is going to play out?
I think it's going to be slightly problematic, slightly difficult for the next couple of months. We're now 1st of September, so I think September, October, everyone's still feeling their way. You know, the restrictions are a little bit draconian. It's a bit hard. It's a bit costly. But I think that'll generally they'll be reduced, and I can see by November, December, it really opening up more fully. And then we can also see other areas of Thailand now jumping on the bandwagon. You've got Hua Hin announcing, I think today or yesterday, they were going to do the equivalent of their sandbox. They're all called different things. Samui is now open. Chiang Mai wants to. So they're all looking at Phuket to do it. Couple of months, sort out everything, and then it will get better.
And if people are wanting to book for Christmas or 2022, what should they bear in mind?
Well, I think, you know, we've just got to. Obviously, Christmas will be. It's still going to be quiet. There's going to be a lot of capacity, so there should be some good deals. The weather will be great. Then, hopefully, the restrictions will be less, will be reduced. I think the COVID situation in Thailand will be way improved by then, by November, and I think it will be just a fantastic time to come when it's quiet. So we'll obviously, from the UK, you'll have to look out for the red list. I mean, this is the biggest problem, I think, from the UK side, but kind of here, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, and of course we're doing. Us and other tour operators are offering pretty cast iron guarantees that if anything does happen, they can't travel, people will get their money back. Is there anything that Paresa's doing to tempt people to book for December and beyond?
Well, we're offering full cancellation, full refund should something happen. I mean, we've had that before with a lot of domestic travellers. Regulations have changed, and we just say, well, do you want a credit? Because many still want to come, but they just can't come for those dates. And many have said, well, we're international, we'd prefer a refund, and we just refund 100% everything. We have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Okay. Well, I think you've summed that up really nicely for us. Got a good idea of what it's been like in Phuket, but also what they're working towards and where we're going to end up with. And these are all baby steps, but they're all steps on the road to opening for everyone safely, for locals and safely for residents, and getting travel going again, which is what we all want. So thank you very much, Anthony, and hopefully we can get you back as things develop and let us know what the changes have been.
Anytime, happy to be part of the program and to update as we go along. And things will change, week on week. So anytime, please, happy to see you again.
And hopefully soon we can get my 15-year-old boy, who's all out to compete, and they can compete with each other on I don't know, beach tennis or something. So yeah.
Although not yet taller than
not
you,
yet
Sam.
taller than me. No, he's very proud that he's gone over 6 foot, but not. He's got a distance to go before catching me up. Good. All right, brilliant, Anthony. Thank you very much. All we need now is for the UK government to put some more countries on that amber list and change things up. But now to the section of the show where we say, "Don't quote us." Melissa, have you got anything for us today?
Not a huge amount this week, obviously because I've been away, but I've heard that the Lao government is weighing up options on a cautious reopening phase from October or November onwards, which could make Lao an incredible option for winter, and obviously ties in nicely with Thailand if we're able to get back to Thailand.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
we heard that I think that Scoot was planning to fly twice daily from Singapore to Vientiane, which makes that a viable option, doesn't it? So
yeah, that's a great new way to get there. I think
we'll look at that. And finally, last but not least, we'd like to go over to Holly from Holidays Travel, live in South London. Holly, can you tell us a little bit about Thailand? Anthony has told us to consider Thailand for Christmas. Could be a one-off chance to have a family holiday, a big trip to Thailand at Christmas. What's the weather like at Christmas in Thailand, Holly?
Yeah, well, actually, so Thailand as I'm sure you're aware, has lovely warm weather throughout the year, but actually the main dry season is typically running from November through to April. So it actually makes Christmas the perfect time to get away and have a bit of a winter escape for those looking for a sun-drenched beach holiday to somewhere such as Phuket.
Can't say fairer than that. Thank you very much, Holly. Now, remember, everyone, that if you want to be the first to know, because you're raring to go, then make sure you sign up on the link given next to this video. Do sign up, and we will let you know. But thank you very much for watching. We'll come to you as soon as we've got any news, or see us again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.